Hello, this is Skylit Lake reading Izuku's Project by Nick. Chapter 2. Somehow, up until this point, Izuku had managed to avoid most of the problems cropping up as a result of his baby, the spreadsheet. The media wanted to interview the person who had released such a groundbreaking piece of work. People wanted to know if he was going to release more content. Heroes were scared. Who was next? Izuku's friends hadn't caught on to the fact that Japan's recent political upheaval was single-handedly his doing, for which he was grateful. Aizawa hadn't punished him, but was now treating him like a toddler with a grenade. A sweet child who would wreak unmitigated havoc at a moment's notice. President Mike seemed like him even more oddly. President Mike seemed to like him even more, oddly enough. His mom had taken one look at the news and deduced her son was behind it. She hugged him, shed a single tear, and proclaimed how proud his father would have been. That was probably more unsettling than anything else that had happened. Despite all the unexpected backlash, Izuku had dealt with the situation through careful deliberation and forethought. This meant that it stung a little bit when all the shit he had been avoiding for 2 months caught up with him through sheer dumb luck. Izuku stared across the dairy aisle of his local convenience store. Self-proclaimed villain Darby stared back, hand frozen in a box of string cheese. "I feel like I should probably fuck your shit up," Darby said, "but I don't feel like it. Good job exposing Endeavor for the piece of shit he is, kid." Izuku felt there was an epiphany on the edge of his mind, and Darby's throwaway sentence had pushed that epiphany over the edge. His eye shape and color, the similarity in his voice, his frame, his quirk, his dislike of Endeavor, the box of black hair dye in his basket. Izuku connected the dots. "You're Todoroki's missing brother, aren't you?" he breathed. Darby's face went blank, and tiny blue sparks began to erupt on his fingertips. "Wait, no, hold on, we can talk about this." "You can't tell anyone if you're dead in a ditch somewhere," growled Darby. "Yeah, well, we're kind of in the middle of the store, and I'm pretty sure there are cameras and stuff, but I'm not gonna tell anyone, so I'd really appreciate if you could not murder me. Please?" Darby scowled and stuffed his hand in his pockets. "My mom's a lawyer," Izuku blurted. Darby looked at him like he had just declared his intent to marry a grilled cheese sandwich. "And you left because Endeavor was, right? So we can make a legal case and you could quit being a villain and reunite with your family members that don't suck ass." Darby looked lost. "Why?" "Why what?" "Why would you help me?" That's what a real hero does. He helps someone whenever he can. But I also have a selfish reason. Your brother is my friend. I want to make him happy." Darby was silent for a long, strained moment before nodding tersely. He dropped his basket on the floor and walked away. "When you're done here," he called over his shoulder, "meet me outside." Izuku smiled like he had just been. Izuku smiled like he was being held at gunpoint, or having his picture taken for his driver's license. Hi, Mum. I bought a friend. Oh, how nice. What's your name, dear? Inko asked, bullheadedly ignoring Darby's suspicious, well, everything. Darby, he grunted. Izuku stared him in the eyes until Darby averted his gaze and corrected, Todoroki Toya. Izuku's face, Inko's face lit up. Would would you be happen to related to? Please don't say never, please don't say never, Toya internally begged. Izuku's friend Shoto? He untensed a little. He is my younger brother. Inko suddenly regarded him with the intensity of a hawk's eye, which seemed so out of place on her sweet, genial face. Izuku, she turned to her son. Yes? He yelped. Am I putting together a court case against Endeavor? She asked quietly. Toya felt a drop of sweat roll down his neck. Scarily intelligent, he thought. Oh God, it runs in the family. Izuku nodded, every bit as serious as his mother. Good then, get out, she said. Wait, what? Izuku did a double take. You heard me, she smiled. I'll work with your friend here. You go have fun. Izuku opened his mouth to protest. Yes, I know you can help, she interrupted. But I don't want you to. Let Mummy take care of this one, sweetheart. I was wrong, Toyo thought. She's worse. Alright, should I write more inflammatory literature or something? I'm at a loss, Izuku said. Do whatever makes you happy, sweetie. Oh, okay, he said and walked off to his room, thereby abandoning Toya to his fate. Once again, Izuku was accosted on his way into his homeroom. Deku, Uraka demanded while grabbing his hand. Is it true? Were you the one that published that spreadsheet thing? He nearly tripped and face-planted, despite being stationary at the moment. Who told you? So it's true, Kirishima exclaimed. Todoroki said so, Uraka said sheepishly. But we couldn't tell whether he was joking or not. He's just got that kind of face, you know. In the background, Todoroki looked at his face in his phone's reflection. He touched a hand to his cheek. Hey, what's all this? Kabanai asked, walking through the door. Izuku waved his hands. No, Deku wrote that spreadsheet thing, Uraka said. Kabanai tilted his head. Wait, what spreadsheet? The Endeavor one, said Kirishima. Bullshit, Kaminari scoffed. It's true, entering behind Kaminari. I heard it from President Mike. No way, said Mina from behind everyone. Kaminari jumped and screeched. Gah! How long have you been here, Mina? She smiled proudly. Longer than you. What's going on? Ojira asked from the entrance. Several students clamored for Ojiro's attention, all trying to spill the tea. Izuku sighed. Today was going to be a long day. Izuku was tired of being stared at. It was only lunchtime, yet it seemed half the school knew his secret. For fuck's sake, even Monoma was wary of him. Monoma! Every business student in the cafeteria, and quite a few that Izuku was pretty sure was supposed to be in class right now, was crowding around him for an autograph. A word of wisdom. Or even just to offer him lunch. To top it all off, Principal Nezu had approached him about something. He was very cryptic about the whole thing, but the general vibe that Izuku got from him was that he wanted to teach him. Ever since that conversation, Izuku couldn't help but spot Nezu trailing him wherever he went on campus. And there he was, hanging from the hole in the cafeteria's ceiling. "Oh ho ho," Nezu said, and retracted back into the shadowy recess of the ceiling hole. Izuku was afraid. Several feet away, Tsuyu felt Mina's grubby hands brush her butt, and idly asked Uraraka, "Do you think Midoriya takes requests, Kero?" Izuku's mission was, contrary to popular belief, not complete. In fact, he still had that piece of inflammatory literature he was still working on. It was that which drove him to seek out his teachers rather than hiding from his fellow students. He started with the management course, of course. Since he had no idea where that particular teacher was, he ventured deep into the heart of the enemy territory. Okay, he just went to the management dorms and asked the night students, and left as quickly as he could, considering the hushed whispers of 10 hours and a lock of hair for the shrine. He managed, pun intended, to run into the management department head and get the personal interview he wanted out of the way. So he supposed the trip wasn't completely wasted. Next he saw his favorite teacher, All Might. "Aha, Midoriya, I've been meaning to talk to you," he said. "Really?" Izuku tilted his head. "What for?" "I heard a rumor that you released some nasty things about Endeavor. What was that for?" "He was a dick to me once, and also I don't like the way he talks to Todoroki." That was his excuse, and he was sticking with it. "Besides, everything I said was true. If it was nasty, it's his own fault." All Might waffled. "Well, yes, but be that as it may, you're friends with Todoroki, aren't you? Why would you go after Endeavor's reputation like that?" Izuku smiled. "It's the one thing he can't replace." All Might forgot how to breathe for a moment. What did you say?" Izuku folded in on himself a bit in embarrassment. "The bitch deserved it," he mumbled. "Can I ask you a couple of questions for an essay I'm writing?" "Yes, of course, young Midoriya," he said in a daze. After interviewing All Might, Snipe, Present Mike, 13, and of course his own homeroom teacher, Izuku had ready to head home. Uraraka and Todoroki were waiting to walk home with him. Uraraka because she stayed late to ask Ectoplasm about the lesson, and Todoroki because... As soon as they hit the gate, they were bombarded by cameras, microphones, and overeager journalists. One particularly brave reporter shoved a recording device in his face and demanded, What made you decide to publish a confidential information about a respected and upstanding citizen? Is it because you secretly hate heroes? He put a hand on Uraraka's shoulder because she looked ready to combust, shot Todoroki an apologetic glance, and looked directly into the rude reporter's camera. Secretly hate heroes? That means a lot coming from you, Miss Tanaka, considering how often you expose heroes who have done nothing but their best. In fact, I believe you recently accused Mount Lady of wanton destruction of property, despite the fact that her rate of destruction is consistently below average. Not to mention your piece on Arrowhead, where you accused him of tax evasion. The reporter frantically flicked her eyes at the camera person, begging them to shut down the live feed. Izuku continued. Not only was everything you said in that article blatantly false, incendiary clickbait, but almost all of it was plagiarized from sources such as Hero Spiracy. Here. Then, he nodded to another journalist with a Hero Spiracy logo on his shirt. Pretty prose and even Wikipedia. At this point, the unfortunate Miss Tanaka was hiding her face and perhaps even crying. Everyone's attention was completely captured by Izuku. Furthermore, he continued, your original claim that I released confidential information is also a lie. I cited every source I used, unlike you, each of which was public. You would have known this had you actually bothered to open the document. Seriously, how lazy can you get? Do I need to come to your office and click the works cited for you? He looked around at all the cameras and microphones pointed his way. And you people are hardly better. The last time reporters showed up to UA uninvited, they caused a security leak, leading to the USJ attack. What if I, or one of my friends with me, had a flashback or a panic attack? Would he have publicized that too? You monsters. Go on, shoo. Get out of here. The flabbergasted crowd looked at each other nervously, before dispersing as if they never had shown up in the first place, like a herd of cats. Midoriya, Todoroki said softly, I'm going to marry you. What? Izuku stammered loudly, hiding his red face. Hey, I want in, said Uraraka. So whose last name are we taking? Izuku sat down on the ground and whimpered. As you can see on this chart, crime in major cities such as Fukuoka, Tokyo, and Musutafu, most notably Kyoto, has decreased by a whopping 18%, while public service and volunteer work on behalf of the heroes is at an all-time high. Some say the decrease in crime is a result of the increased volunteer work, but we here at NHK Newsline know the truth. Both of these things are caused by the so-called Endeavourgate movement. For those of you who don't know, this scandal was inspired by a spreadsheet released on several social media which compiled statistics from government resources and crisis mapping sites. These statistics detail the magnitude of destruction, injury, and loss of life that several irresponsible heroes, most notably Endeavour, have caused throughout their careers. It has recently come to light that the document was authored by a first-year UA Hero Course student named Midoriya Izuku. Yesterday, Midoriya released a multi-page report compiling the data from his spreadsheet into a research essay with a very controversial opinion. He feels that pro-hero Endeavour should be arrested and put on trial. Midoriya says, if Japanese pro-heroes are truly so weak and the system so poorly designed that a drastic increase in villainous activity, would occur, then the system is defunct and needs to be dismantled and rebuilt entirely. He goes on to say that if the Japanese government is too cowardly to bring Endeavor to justice as he deserves, then there will be no other option but to involve the United Nations, as surely the continued protection of villainous persons such as Endeavor is a sign of corruption and incompetence. Endeavor was unavailable for comment. Damn kid. Toya spoke over the news report on the TV. You sure are something else. For a cinnamon roll, you're pretty terrifying, you know that? Izuku buried his red face in Chito's shoulder and sunk into the couch, as if it could obscure him completely if he tried hard enough. At least give Mom some credit, Izuku whined, though it was muffled. She's the one that got you a trial. And I got off with just 6 months of house arrest. At that, I swear you're half demon and you get it from your mother. As if summoned, Inko entered the living room with a handful of mail. Speak of the devil, Toya joked to himself. Izuku, sweetie, you've got more of those villain letters, she said, dumping the mail on her son. He extricated himself his new boyfriend to examine them. Her hands fluttered nervously. I'm pretty sure most of these people shouldn't know where we live, she said. Should I take legal action? The occupants of the room shivered in tandem. No thanks, Mum, Izuku said quickly. I've got it covered. Inko smiled, and the Todoroki siblings both breathed out a sigh of relief. I'll be in the yard if you need me, she said as they waved to her. Anything interesting? Shoto looked over Izuku's shoulder. No, just the same usual. A couple of recruitment offers. He set these aside to hand to the police. And the rest just saying something along the lines of, we've stopped doing crime, honest, so if you could please not ruin our lives, we would be grateful. I don't think these are going to seem interesting after the note from Shigaraki. Toya sat up sharply. That jackass sent you a letter? Yeah, it was just a smiley face, Shota said. Toya slouched back into his chair. Gods, that's creepy. Mum's already on it, Izuku said with eyes of fire and a smile that could put Aizawa to shame. You're right, Shota whispered. He's definitely half demon. So, as long as the hero in question, Aizawa's lecture was cut off by the emergency broadcast television in the room coming to life. Students and teachers alike all stared in rapt fixation at the reporter on screen, and more importantly, what was behind her. In the distance, several policemen could be seen escorting pro-hero Endeavor from his home in handcuffs. Izuku stood up out of his desk and cheered. The rest of his classmates were frozen, unable to verbalize anything about what their resident cinnamon roll had accomplished. All his classmates, that is, save one, Bakugo Katsuki, raised his hand in a silent high five, and Izuku took it with tears in his eyes, nearly shedding one when Bakugo didn't pull away with a too slow. Just for once, Bakugo said. You didn't suck. Izuku let out a high-pitched, gleeful whine. That's the nicest thing Kanchan has ever said to me, he warbled. Aizawa abandoned his lecture in favor of crawling into his bright yellowed sleeping bag. He stuck an arm out of his poofy cocoon and swiped it across his desk, knocking stacks of papers, various pens, and several paperweights onto the floor. He climbed on top of his desk and lay flat as the ding of the television continued. He mumbled, "Thank God he is not a villain." Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. This is chapter 2, one more chapter left for Izuku's project. It's a shorter series. I mean, like I said before, I could not be bothered trying to make this into a one video kind of situation, which is just so much. But you know what? I'm happy I'm doing this. Redneck's a good offer, even though he has released his cursed content, which I'm not sure when I'm releasing this, if it's after or before my 500 subscriber special. If it's before, well, good luck to everyone who wants to listen to the 500 subscriber special. Your only hint and warning is Shrek. And trust me, it's MHA. It's Shrek and MHA. It is cursed and it is absolutely funny. I saw it long ago and have been eyeing it for a while. Anyway, please give kudos and comments and bookmark to the author, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!